Welcome to Chilling Ghost Stories, where the scariest tales come to life in the dead of night. Tonight, we venture into the eerie legends of Thailand, a land haunted by vengeful spirits, black magic, and chilling apparitions. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and prepare to face your deepest fears. Let's begin. Chapter 14, Breaking the Curse.
With military power in her hands, Ploy pursued her goals freely. Her immediate objective was to break the curse, so she and her children could become normal people. Although her strength had increased significantly after absorbing the sage's body, the thing she needed remained out of reach. Ploy continuously selected tall, strong men, who were then cleansed through a vegetarian diet for 3 months. Afterward, Ploy would be intimate with a chosen one. Upon completion, she would examine their internal organs. Ploy didn't need a husband, someone who would only hinder her. This way, she could achieve her goals without fear of reputation damage, as the dead cannot speak. After 3 long years and countless failures, Ploy had nearly lost patience. She gritted her teeth and shattered the table in front of her. Throughout this time, wherever her territory expanded, she sent people to capture monks in those areas. What she needed was a way to break the curse, but none would speak a word. They either accepted death or fled to other regions. If that's how it would be, she would use her own methods. But first, she needed to focus on completing a single task. On the battlefield in the valley between 2 ancient mountains, 2 armies faced each other. Charge! Charge! The soldiers' battle cries rose like a storm. Each wore a red bandana on their forehead. They moved swiftly, soon engaging in combat with the enemy forces. In contrast, the soldiers carrying blue flags showed fear, retreating while defending themselves. Don't run. Even if you die, you must protect the general. A desperate cry from a deputy commander among the scattered blue flag soldiers. At this point, no one heeded his words. Their own lives came first. For these soldiers, who no longer ruled, nothing mattered. Humph. Such useless cowards. The deputy commander shouted in anger, his teeth clenched, eyes fixed ahead where someone in golden armor sat calmly on horseback, watching this uneven battle. Kill her. We must kill her at all costs. The commanders under him shouted in unison, charging straight through the crowd. Commanders under him shouted together, charging straight through the crowd. To kill a snake, one must strike its head. If the leader dies, the army will fall into chaos. 5 horses cut through in a line of attack. Their swords had killed countless, blood staining their faces. Die! The deputy commander leaped high from his horse, bringing his sword down on Ploy. His 4 subordinates simultaneously thrust their weapons at her. How could a mere woman defend against 5 attackers at once? Ploy remained seated on her horse, smiling without drawing her sword. But all 5 men suddenly froze, their swords just inches from her face, unable to strike. I commend your loyalty. If you were to follow me, I would certainly treat you well. Humph. Never. I'd rather die than bow before a demon woman like you. Very well. As Ploy finished speaking, all 5 men coughed up blood, dying on the spot. Only then did they fall to the ground, as threads of blood withdrew from their bodies into Ploy. Everyone, hear my command, advance straight into the compound. Answering her command was a wave of cheers, charging through the wooden gates toward the enemy general's residence. Crash! The doors were violently kicked down by the soldiers, several rushing in to subdue the guards, leaving only the old general sitting in his chair. Ploy walked in gracefully, her eyes scanning the place that had appeared vaguely in her mind. From the center, behind the curtain of the shrine, came loud thumping sounds. Ploy frowned, looking in that direction. Within minutes, a series of crashes from inside frightened the old general. After a while, he sighed, "So you've finally come." She smiled and approached the general, asking, "Do you remember me, General Arthit?" I don't know who you are. But your forces have worried me for some time. Ploy seemed to realize something, nodding. So you only know me as a female general. Look at me carefully. She removed her helmet, revealing the appearance of a gentle girl as she looked at Arthit. His eyes widened, staring at the woman before him. That face. Those eyes. And that smile like a wild flower, unmistakable. It was her. It really was her. Arthit's eyes suddenly blurred. For all these years, he could never forget that girl. Arthit became dazed, shaking his head repeatedly. No. No. It's not. It's not her. She's dead. Humph. So you remember now? Father? Arthit's whole body trembled, looking up at Ploy again. You called me. What? You're not worthy to be my father. Indeed. No father would force my mother and me to die. Hunt us down to extinction. General Arthit lowered his head, letting tears fall as he spoke hoarsely. You're right. I don't deserve to be your father. But I loved her very much. Ploy raged, grabbing Arthit's throat and lifting him until his face turned red. Her eyes turned blood red as she spoke. So what? Huh? Mother is dead. My sister is dead. The other one is lost somewhere, unknown whether alive or dead. Is this how you show love? Huh? Ploy's hand tightened until Arthit could no longer make a sound, then she released him, causing him to fall to the ground, coughing violently. If you want revenge, then take it. Humph. Death? Compared to what we went through, death would be too merciful for you. Ploy stepped on the one she called father, her eyes scanning around. I will torture you slowly, make you feel that living is worse than death. Only then can I console my mother, and my siblings. As she finished speaking, Ploy kicked hard, causing Arthit to cough up blood. Suddenly, a voice from behind drew everyone's attention. You cannot harm him. Ploy turned to look. It was a nun with a white veil covering her face, revealing only her eyes. A strange feeling arose in Ploy's heart. Who was this person? Who are you? The person didn't answer, gently removing the veil covering her face. Amazingly, that face was identical to Ploy's. Even Ploy was stunned in disbelief, her whole body trembling. That strange feeling surged to a boil. You. Are you my sister? Is it you, Nina? After all these years, you still remember my name, sister. Ploy was overjoyed, rushing to grab the hand of the sister she had longed for all these years. It really is you. How could I forget you? For all these years I've searched for you without any news. I never expected you to be here. Even Arthit was completely surprised, none Vanessa. He stuttered, unable to finish his sentence. For nearly a year, he had been close to his daughter without knowing it. In fact, she had healed him and helped him many times. Hearing Arthit's voice, Ploy pulled her sister's hand before him and said, This is our father. The one who forced our mother and us to death years ago. Join me in avenging mother. Fulfilling mother's wishes. We must torture him to death. Nina gently withdrew her hand from Ploy, shaking her head. You're wrong, sister. Our mother didn't want this. Ploy was shocked, turning to look at her sister, shouting, Have you lost your mind? Have you forgotten what we went through? And mother too. Have you forgotten how much mother hated this man? It was him. He sent people to hunt and kill mother and our youngest sister. Have you forgotten that too? Huh? As she spoke, Ploy's whole body trembled, black flames seeming to engulf her. Nina remained calm and replied, I haven't forgotten what happened years ago. But mother never wanted us to seek revenge. What did you say? Mother didn't want us to seek revenge. Revenge is just an endless cycle that can never end. Our mother understood this and wanted to let everything go. These words surprised Arthit, stirring his heart. The woman he loved, despite how he had treated her, even until death, she didn't hate him. Ploy, however, hissed, "So, all these years, you've been brainwashed by false words from outside. You've forgotten all the hatred from before. How infuriating. Sister. Let go of your hatred. We don't have to live carrying it forever. It only blinds us. Shut up. Fine. If you've been brainwashed, then I'll avenge Mother alone. Sister. Please listen to me. I don't want us to become enemies just as we meet." Ploy laughed maniacally. "Enemies? How dare you? I will kill him, then take you back to teach you slowly." Ploy waved her hand, sending blood threads toward Arthit, intending to drain his blood until death. "Stop." White threads flew forth, deflecting Ploy's blood threads. This enraged Ploy, who turned to look at her sister and growled, "You dare oppose me?" Nina shook her head, her eyes slightly wet as she said, "As children, we cannot kill our father. His sins will face consequences when he dies. Death? I want to deliver those consequences with my own hands." Arthit lay on the ground, grimacing as he looked at Nina and said, "None, Vanessa, let her have her revenge. I have wronged her mother and children." His eyes closed, tears streaming down. "As a nun, I cannot let my sister sink into hatred." Ploy laughed loudly. "You say you're a nun? Haha. Can you resist the hunger? Or your own body, where did it come from? Isn't it stolen from others? Haha. Don't act pure when you haven't achieved that yourself." Nina bowed her head and sighed slightly, eventually saying, "It's true my past isn't pure. But since meeting Nun Siraporn, who guided me out of delusion, I no longer need intestines or food to exist." Lies. Our mother also realized this. If she had the chance, she would have abandoned these karmic burdens too. As she finished speaking, Nina pulled her robe slightly to the sides, revealing part of her pink-white chest. In the middle was a long crack sewn together with red thread. Others murmured, but Ploy understood. That was where the host body connected to the corpse. Nina had sewn it shut, proving she hadn't separated her body to absorb intestines for a long time. But Ploy still couldn't accept this, becoming agitated. "Sister. Is this enough proof of what I'm saying? Listen to me, let go of your hatred. We can follow Buddha's teachings to rid ourselves of our demonic nature. Be quiet. All lies. If you want to stop me today, you must defeat me. Otherwise, come back with me." With those words, countless blood threads extended from Ploy's back, shooting toward Nina. Nina sighed, waving both hands to create two bundles of white threads that entangled with Ploy's blood threads. Their eyes locked on each other. One evil, one good, neither yielding. Ploy couldn't believe that their reunion after years of separation would come to this. Even more unbelievable was that Nina's power matched her own. How could this be? She had absorbed so many monks, even one who had achieved divinity, and possessed the power of the cat goddess. Yet now she could only manage a stalemate. Ploy gritted her teeth, channeling all her power into the blood threads, determined to show her misguided sister who was stronger. Indeed, black blood began to seep from Nina's mouth. Ploy smiled, thinking this was the extent of her sister's power. Bong! Bong! Suddenly, bell sounds rang in Ploy's head, accompanied by increasingly loud Buddhist chanting. Ploy grunted, collapsing to the ground, clutching her head in pain. This shocked everyone, not understanding what was happening. Nina also fell to the ground, breathing heavily. She didn't know what had happened to her sister, wanting to call out but her wounds prevented it. After a while, Ploy stood up shakily, her hair disheveled, and shouted, "Retreat!" The soldiers dared not disobey, hurriedly carrying Ploy outside.